Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Excuse me.
So let me get to my next one here that everybody enjoys.
Football season is here and Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Welcome to the Wednesday Professional Sports Show. As we get ready for another week here, I'm your host, Mac, co-host Bo Crouch from Coast to Coast, and he does a lot of other work for us. He thanks TGI Sports, who he's one of my favorite on the program, and of course Michael Tipton from the Tipton Hour or whatever. So he's he does a great job for us.
He probably does something. It's fine.
And the birthday boy is here with us.
Yes, James Martin's with us. Happy birthday, Jay Train. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
He's on the debate show with me and Jeff. Also on Prim and Proper Sports right next with the fellas. So guys, let's get on to it. I want to start off with Cincinnati Reds Ronald Acuna Jr. signed an 8-year, $100,000 contract with an average annual salary of $12,500 in 2025. His replacement, Jerickson Proffer, signed a 3-year, $42 million in January. So, of course, as you see, the Reds are bleeding money right now, and they might be out of it, guys. What do you think, Bo?
Well, I mean, you said the first one was $12,000 a year. I mean, that sounds like a deal.
I'll take that.
Did I say that?
You did. Like that. That is the
ultimate discount guy. No, Acuna's 8 years, $100,000.
Still more than that.
What is that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 8 years,
$100 million.
I know.
100 million.
No. Yeah, no, it's I mean, in a sport that doesn't have a cap yet, it's all monopoly money, right?
They're and he's out for at least the start of the season around Lacuna for the Braves, and so Profar's hurt now, I believe, as well. So the Braves might, and they've got some pitching situations as well, with Strider out early on, and some guys to replace with Max Fried gone. So the Braves are still a favorite in the East, but I don't think they're an overwhelming favorite by any means.
And I think, if you can get Ronald Acuna Jr. to have any type of production like what he's had in the past, I feel like you're getting him for a deal, because I think a healthy Ronald Acuna Jr., we're talking about like a $300 million guy, if not more. So if I'm the Braves, I'm happy with the signing. I'm glad with everything we've got going for us. It's again, like, I feel like I was going to say the NFC East. That's how bad I hate the Dallas Cowboys right now. I feel like the NL East is up for grabs, right? Like, and it always seems like it is, because I don't think the Mets signing Juan Soto was enough to really get them over the hump with all the issues that they've had in the past. Why not run it, man? Like, Ronald Acuna Jr., $100 million, that's a steal.
Yeah, the Braves are still I think they run their organization, I think, very smart. They get rid of guys, too early rather than too late. They sign guys to realistic contracts early. We talked about it, I think, Mac, last week on the Friday show, that a lot of major league teams are starting to get out in front of these younger guys and locking them up for longer terms at smaller deals, but also not giving them an out when their contract is now, obsolete. That's the key. I will give you, I talked about it on the MLB update last week. I'll give you generational wealth for a young guy, 65, $100 million. That's still generational wealth where I come from. Maybe not with some guys in professional sports, but it's still generational wealth. But I'm not going to let you opt out after 2 years when it's no longer obsolete. I'll give you that guaranteed money and protection of that guaranteed money, but you're going to have to play out that contract at that dollar amount.
So refresh my memory. The injury to Ronald Acuna, is it his ACL, or was it his ACL?
I believe so. Tip might know better.
Yeah,
I think
it was an ACL injury, and you have him as like as an outfielder, right? I feel like to protect him, National League has a DH now. You put him in at DH, you just use that bat, and
you run him less. Like
every now and then he can go out in the outfield. We've seen the Yankees do it with Giancarlo Stanton. Maybe you try him out at first base as well. Expect what you get out of it whenever you have a guy that should be a DH that has, and this is the second time he's had the ACL injury, right? So now you're protecting him against himself. Put him in as a DH, and if you can get 40 home runs out of him, 30 home runs out of him at $100 million again, that's a deal.
The real shame, Tipping, you as a Brave, if you're a Braves fan, I take it.
I'm a Yankees fan, but I just love me some baseball.
So I like what the Braves do. I'm a Yankees fan as well. But Acuna will hit. The sad part is they'll probably scale back his running, and he's an exciting player because he's done things nobody else has done. What did he do 2 years ago? 40-70, what nobody's ever done.
And that's the thing, right? Is I think you got to approach it the same way the Dodgers did with Shohei Ohtani last year, right?
Yeah.
This year, just hit. That's all you got to do. Just hit. Next year, once we know that your knee is better, you've had a full year of recovery, you had a full year of action. Now you can go out and start doing the running, right? Like it was a plan the Dodgers had with Shohei. Shohei's probably not going to pitch this year, right? Coming off the second Tommy John, coming off of all that stuff. If you can
I think this is the only year he's going to pitch.
Well,
they scaled him down already.
To me, they already scaled him down. That's a bad sign for his pitching. Like if he does come in as a pitcher, I don't know what you're going to be getting out of him, because if they're willing to scale him down in spring training, that means there's something wrong.
They've got the depth, so they can take it slow. They can take him slow to see what he's got. They don't need to rush him and get him hurt again for sure.
Well, and it sounds like they were really only entertaining him as a starter for this coming year anyway, and then they were going to move him into a bullpen position from there, moving forward anyway. So, I mean, if they do it early, it doesn't matter. They have a nice, pitching staff.
Yep.
So, Keith, in college sports, athletic departments don't have revenue problem. They have a spending problem issue. College football coach declared the current unsustainable, he could pay Luka's contract extension. Oregon decided to extend Don Lanning. That's nearly 11 million over 6 years. 65.4 million guaranteed, and he has lost too many games as a head coach.
Yeah, Lanning. Well, lost one game last year. It was the most important game of the year, but he only lost one game. I mean, he's one of the best. He's the top 10 in coaches in NCAA football today, maybe top 5. He's done a great job at Oregon. He was Bama's first choice when Nick Saban stepped down, and they quickly said no. And they end up with a good coach in Kalen DeBoer. I think he'll still be fine there. But Lanning's done a great job at Oregon. And this is the going price for good coaches today. And if it doesn't work out, like it didn't with Mel Tucker and it didn't with Jimbo Fisher, it costs you a lot of money to buy yourself out of that contract. So that's the price of doing business in big time football in college today.
I mean, unless you're UNLV and then they're in debt, can't even pay the last 3 years of their coach. So, if you're just like, don't got it, sorry.
No. He's moved on, so it doesn't matter to him, I suppose. So.
Well, and I think that's the main thing, right? Is like with the power conferences, money's going to do, again, monopoly money, right? We're talking about baseball having no salary cap. It's all monopoly money. The major conferences are going to have that, especially Oregon, whenever you have that Nike money coming in from Phil Knight, and he's your biggest booster, and he's doing all the stuff you want. You can just print money out, start spending it, making it rain. Hell, make it rain on me, Oregon. I will wear a hat for you all day long. But that's the price of doing business. That's what your coaches get. And to be a coach that was in a national championship game, like granted he didn't win, but how often do we talk about Oregon being one of the best teams? You can't let that guy just walk away.
Absolutely. They spend more on uniforms. They wear 11 different uniforms in the course of a year, for crying out loud. They spend more on uniforms than some of the mid-majors spend on their whole football program, for crying out loud.
I don't think coaches' salary should be an argument anymore now. Everything's switched over to now the players and what they get paid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Former GM says Aaron Rodgers is holding.
I was just going to say, it's no shock that they're making money. It's pro sports now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like the players are getting paid. Everybody's getting paid. So these coaches, they're going to start getting NFL money. Like it just is what it is.
Who's the person out there that's watching college sports right now and is like, oh no, they're all doing it for the love of the game. Like obviously they love the game. There's no money involved in this at all. If you're that person, one, go seek some help, and secondly, crack open some alcohol and just enjoy it the way that I do, guys. Like,
that's
cheers.
right. Yeah, it's only been 60 years since that's been a thing. So
amateurism was a scam.
I knew. I knew Tip was drinking during the show. I knew it.
When am I not drinking? That's a better question. Wait.
I didn't know he drank till I saw him sober one time.
Yeah.
So you mailed him some booze. You're like, never again. Just do not let that happen.
I mean, all the bourbon in the world isn't going to drink itself, guys. I'm doing the world a favor.
That's right.
Yeah, the Canadians aren't drinking it anymore. You got to make it.
Okay. So Aaron Rodgers is holding the Steelers hostage. It could be weeks until.
Would you expect anything else, honestly?
I mean, how long can you wait? How long can you really wait? I mean, these teams are going to have to make a move or move on. And maybe Aaron Rodgers gets caught with all the chairs full when the music stops. I don't know.
I mean, of the two guys they're really looking at, Russ is the guy you would want to bring back anyway. He has a connection with DK. He's not going to add another element of like imagine if that team is losing with Rodgers and DK and Pickens Like, talk about a toxic environment that would be amazing to watch, but but terrible, right? Whereas if you have Russ in there, not to say that he isn't his own type of head case, but he is available, right? Like, he's not one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna not kind of be around and I'm gonna do what I want. Like, he has a connection with the guy. He's gonna try and get him the ball. Plus, the one thing he does well is the one route that those two guys can run, which is go balls.
Yeah.
Where they're not great is shorter routes. You know what Russ doesn't throw to? Shorter routes. So it doesn't matter.
And maybe there's some traction also in regards to Aaron Rodgers possibly following the Brett Favre route going to Minnesota. I don't know what the situation is with Kevin O'Connell. We see their two quarterbacks are gone now. So they only have one quarterback in the building, and the rookie that hadn't really shown anything just yet. So maybe Aaron Rodgers is I don't know, maybe that's tipping the hat that they're waiting on him to possibly come that direction.
If you're O'Connell, do you want him?
No, not at all.
No.
Because we've seen him mentor guys behind him. Is that who you want teaching JJ for the year before he comes in and plays? Like,
Well, if I'm going to give Aaron Rodgers credit for one thing, and I don't give him credit for much, he did mentor Love better than Favre mentored him. I can tell you that, because there was none of that with Favre and Rodgers. At least towards the end, he did. So, but I'm not bringing him in that. I don't want him in that. And don't mistake that for saying I think they should bring him in there. They've got a good or great chemistry going on that team, and all he can do is mess it up.
That's like saying he didn't kick your dog as hard. He still kicked your dog.
I'm just not bringing him in to mess up the chemistry. I've had people tell me that Aaron Rodgers can't be that bad a guy because the Jets aren't really, a lot of the guys, the Jets have spoken up and they're upset he's gone. Every single guy who said he's upset is a defensive guy. None of the offensive guys have spoke up.
Yeah,
none.
Exactly. I genuinely want to know why does Aaron Rodgers have the benefit of the doubt to hold any team hostage right now? It's like, you know what? I'll give you guys 4 to 6 weeks to give you what my decision is going to be. I've got to go on my dark retreat. I've got to drink more ayahuasca. I've just got to get high as hell. And then I'll come up with whatever my decision is going to be. Why would you welcome that into your locker room other than I would watch every single Steelers game just to see what happens to meltdown on the sideline. Like as Bo said, you got DK Metcalf, you got George Pickens. Now you bring in Aaron Rodgers. Mike Tomlin's going to just be crying on the sideline because it's going to be just too much going on. Watch that. But,
I would pay to see his post game interviees after these games.
Exactly.
You know what?
Honestly,
I changed my mind
every week.
I changed my mind. Pittsburgh, wait however long you need to wait. Let's Aaron Rodgers. That's a Hall of Fame quarterback, man. His resume speaks for itself. You wait for that, man.
That's right.
Mike Tomlin is not going to be a Robert Saleh. He's definitely going to be a total opposite of what that guy is. So Aaron wouldn't want to play with him. I mean, as far as like giving him like cold shoulder, fake bro hug, that kind of thing, I don't even think
push him away when he's trying to get
he push it. Yes, exactly. That kind of
get
thing.
knocked on his ass is what'll happen if he does that to Mike Tomlin.
Well, and Tomlin has an ego in himself, right? So you figure the 4 of those guys, if they're losing, it's his first losing season. The guys don't think they're getting the ball enough. Rodgers is that guy that's like, I need you to be right where you're supposed to be. Neither one of those guys are ever where they're supposed to be. So, I mean, man, that just sounds electric. Let's go.
I've already Steelers, go get Aaron Rodgers. Now, who else can we add into this mix to just create more chaos? Like we need as much chaos as possible. In the Dark Knight where there's that shot like Hines Ward is running with the ball, the football field behind him. That's what Pittsburgh needs to be in 2025. Like that, I am here for it, guys. In my veins, let's do this.
I would tip.
All right. Definitely. So, Mike Tomlin, you don't think wants Aaron Rodgers? That's what you're saying.
I doubt it.
I don't think there's a coach out there that wants Aaron Rodgers at all, right? Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, yes, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a shell of who he was. I know he ended the season on a high note. You're not going to get that Aaron Rodgers all the time. And it brings in chaos to your locker room. And that's the last place you want that chaos.
Well, and when you think about it, right, he had a couple of good games at the end. Think of how many guys play well when you're mathematically out of it, right? Soon as there's no pressure anymore, tons of guys play well. I watch the Mariners do it down the stretch all the time. You're like, oh, mathematically out, cool. We're going to win out because we can't get in anyway. Games don't matter. So, I mean, besides the people that are like, oh, yeah, Rodgers, he's the guy. You realize it's been 4 years since he was an MVP caliber guy. Like, everybody likes to gloss over the fact that his last year in Green Bay wasn't good. And Love is having success with the same guys. So it's not like they were like, oh, hey, let's just get him a bunch of different toys that Rodgers didn't have. It's like, no, he went and took him to the playoffs with the same guys Rodgers couldn't win with. Then he gets hurt. Then he plays poorly for 3/4 of a season and then has a couple of good games after the season is really over. I mean, I don't get the allure here.
Yeah, you're right. Those numbers that he had, those are really like empty calorie yards. You know, there's nothing meaningful about them. It's usually you're trying to catch up or you're playing, you know, from behind. And when defense is let up, you know, there's not a lot of pressure on you. So it looks good to some degree. Don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers, you can see he has a little bit of juice left. But you don't have Devontae Adams. He didn't follow you wherever you're going to go. So he figured, I mean, I don't know if I think he's from LA, right? Devontae, is he from there?
Not sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, so he went to go pretty much, this is probably his last stop. So he's going to go close to home and be comfortable. And you got a strong arm quarterback that can get you the ball. So, and there's probably going to be more success with a coach like Sean McVay there than, you know, the bad situation we saw in New York.
J-Train saying that Aaron Rodgers has a little bit of juice left in him. It's the bit of juice that's at the bottom of the gallon that you have left in the back of the refrigerator that you forgot about, right? You don't want to drink it. It's time to just throw it away. Aaron Rodgers, c'est la vie, have fun, go do all the ayahuasca you want. I got some free time on my hands if you want to do it with me, and we can just go and have ourselves some fun. But no team needs to be out here.
I'm not going to lie, Tip. Come on. As long as there's no expiration date on that juice, you still want to take that swallow. You still want to grab the last.
My guy knows how I grew up.
That carton people have been drinking out of, so it may not even be all juice.
Who has time to pour it in a glass? Come on now, let's be honest.
Listen, late at night, I get up in the middle of the night. I'll drink the juice and milk from the carton and the gallon.
Oh.
Rob in the comments, Aaron Rodgers reduced to backwash.
I wouldn't even say he's that. Like it's worse.
Oh man.
What's worse than backwash?
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Don't challenge worse.
We haven't talked about the biggest news of yesterday's signings. Daniel Jones going to the Colts. Competition a little bit, but with $14 million, I think he's going to be the starting quarterback.
He's the best quarterback on the roster, as bad as he is. You know, they found out their reach for the kid with, you know, all the tools, but no experience in college to speak of was a mistake, as I screamed loudly about at the time, and I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. And I'm sure the folks in Indianapolis now are tired of that show. And I think Daniel Jones is probably going to win that job.
We all need to find someone that could represent us and sell us the way Daniel Jones's agent can sell him, because he got contracts and money he should not be getting from anywhere. And also, as sad as it sounds, Keith, you're right. Like, whenever Anthony Richardson's resume is, I started 20 total games in all of high school, college, and the NFL combined, you don't know what you're getting there. You can see he's got a cannon, an absolute gift from God, but he couldn't hit the bright side of the ocean if he's throwing a rock in the beach, right? Like, it's he's just not a quarterback.
Exactly.
He's a hell of a talented dude, but he's just not a quarterback. And Indianapolis is a good enough team in that terrible division to maybe make some noise. This can't be the last move they're doing. It can't be Daniel Jones. There's no way that this is what they're doing.
If I'm a fan, I hope not. Richardson is exactly why you can't fall in love with just talent. It's at the quarterback's position. You can get away with it in other places, and you can teach them the position. You can't teach guys that play quarterback at the NFL at the NFL level. They haven't learned it by now. They're not going to learn it.
And I'm saying this as a guy that bought a Johnny Manziel jersey because I thought he was going to be great. So I obviously have some bad quarterback thoughts in my mind as well, right? So I've learned the errors of my ways. I have changed who I am as a human being. Indianapolis, it can't just be this.
Well, and it's crazy because when Anthony Richardson got drafted, right, going into that, I was like, he's a day 3 guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought that's exactly where he was going to be. Then he has his pro day where he launches this 80-yard bomb, and people are calling for him inside the top 10. He goes 4th, and you're just like, how do you ignore actual game footage of him missing targets everywhere?
The few times he's on the field. The few times he made it to the field.
Well,
I watched this guy in the SEC. I watched him play for Florida. I mean, obviously, I'm an LSU fan, so I'm totally like flabbergasted that he went 4th when I saw that. And I was like, wow, they really picked him at 4? I said, man, the South is going to belong to someone else other than Indianapolis because he's a mixed bag. I mean, totally, and injury prone too at that.
Yeah.
He was also labeled as injury prone in college, and I was like, wow, that really, man, they like to. I don't want to go to Vegas with the people in the brass in Indianapolis because they really don't know how to gamble at all.
Well, so that depends. That depends. Are they picking where you're playing roulette, or are you playing cards against them? Because if we're playing cards against them, we're winning.
Oh. Yeah, for sure.
They're holding them backwards the whole time. They're like, did I win? Like,
their poker face is smiling. They're like, oh, okay. Prim and Proper Sports wrote in the comment section like it's no different than like the Atlanta quarterback issues, right? Where I say it is, man. I like Michael Penix Jr. Like I think you saw enough from him. I'm biased. I'm left-handed. I love me a left-handed quarterback. So Tua and Michael Penix Jr. can do no wrong in my mind. But what we saw Michael Penix Jr. do at the end of the year last year, he gave Atlanta a better option than what Kirk Cousins did.
Sure.
Well, that's not setting the bar terribly high either, though. I want to see a little more from Michael Penix than just I outplayed Kirk Cousins.
Well, I mean, that's essentially all Daniel Jones has to do, right? It's the same. It's the same height of the bar. It's like I can outperform this guy that's going to play half the season at best.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we could look at Kirk Cousins' resume and be at least this dude is a quarterback in the NFL for the better part of a decade, like a starting quarterback. Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones are the Spider-Man meme, just pointing at each other like, "Oh, you're terrible, and so am I." Like it's that. It's like in Toy Story where like Forky introduces himself. He's like, "I'm trash." That's exactly what they are.
Tim's just over here. Yes, you are.
Every week, you guys get on my Giants. Every week.
You brought them up. You're bringing them up. We're not doing this voluntarily. You're bringing them up.
Right. I just Toy Story Giants. I mean, it's very similar, I guess.
Well, Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones has a chance at redemption. He has a chance of redemption because he's probably going to get the starting job here. So.
Well, and you guys signed an offensive tackle today, so that's great news. For those of you that didn't think that, it's Forsyth from the Seahawks bottom 5 offensive line unit. So killing it.
Yeah. He said I had more signings than that, though. Jesus God.
No, so, I know, but that was they made a big deal about it today. So I just they saw something we didn't, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so. You never know. So Keith, let's talk about your Patriots and their and their free agency moves? You didn't get an offense. Wait a minute. You didn't get an end. You didn't get better at offense.
We did get a
pass
pass rusher.
quarterback.
We did get a pass rusher in Harold Landry. We didn't get any offensive linemen to help us. We got some a defensive lineman from the Eagles who played efficiently, if not a lot, on that line. I like the Landry signing. I like the I'm trying to think of the quarterback's name now. Davis.
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, no, not Josh Dobbs. Please.
If nothing else, the whole team can get faster because the pockets are a lot lighter.
Yeah. Well, there's some guy. Look, there's some gambles here. Landry's had a really good career. He's a variable guy. He knows his system. I like that. They needed a guy to replace. They never found a guy to replace Judon last year, and I think Landry will be that guy. Again, they spent almost $280 million in day one, made no moves today. The quarterback, who I'm still trying to think, they're not quarterback. I said cornerback, by the way, Pip. I think, I feel like his name is Davis, who I understand he's really good, but he can't stay healthy.
Carlton Davis.
Right. So again, the best ability is availability, right? So we got to get on the field. So if Carlton Davis can provide something, if Landry can, the problem is they did this 3 years ago. And with Gottschalk getting traded, there's nobody left from that whole free agent class on this team. Nobody. And
Gottschalk. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. By the way, I like Gottschalk. Another guy can't stay in the field though, but he's the last guy left from that big free agent class from 3 years ago, and that was Bill Belichick's last hurrah, and it didn't work out, and that's why he's in North Carolina now, and probably why Mayo doesn't have a job and Mike Vrabel's here. So we start over. Still got to go find some wide receivers, and like Mo's Seahawks and half the teams in the league, some offensive linemen that can do more than just kind of, be a bullfighter out there. Olay.
I like what New England did.
Who's your
What's that?
Got Tip.
I like what New England did because of the signing of like Milton Williams and stuff like that. You take him away from Philadelphia, it makes me a happy guy, right? Like I want to see that defensive line in Philadelphia get dismantled as much as possible. So if you want to, maybe Keith, you make a phone call, you tell everyone there, just let's make some trades. We signed some players, let's make some trades, let's dismantle Philadelphia. You guys won another Super Bowl, I'm a happy guy. Well,
that'll be two of us. That'll be awesome. I'll be happy.
Collusion. Look at that.
We're going to get in trouble for that. By the Players Association here.
Philadelphia lost a lot of their defensive players, though.
So I ain't worried about Philadelphia. Philadelphia replaces them every year. They end up competitive every year. They get one of the best GMs in the league, and maybe he should be most valuable player for them because there's no one better out there than him.
True.
Yeah. So Keith, back to the Patriots.
Yep.
Who is your running back crew there?
Well, Stevenson's number one, obviously, and Watson did a good job behind him last year. I believe he's still back. I wouldn't doubt they'll pick a running back somewhere in this draft, along with a bunch of offensive linemen and wide receivers, which we do every year, and none of them ever work out, for at least the wide receivers. I like Stevenson. Stevenson gets a better offensive line in front of him, and he stays healthy. He has got the talent to be a top 10 back in this league, and he just hasn't been able to put all that together yet.
I think you guys are going to get Will Campbell out of LSU.
I think unless Travis Hunter falls to 4, then it'll be Will Campbell probably at 4 for the offensive line.
I mean, I would like to see him get Ashton Genty. If you're talking about you need a running back, he's going to be available there at 4. Okay. I mean, that'd be fun.
Yeah, but they're not going to. They need too many. There's so many other things to take Genty at 4. You still got Stevenson, who's an effective back, and Genty's not going to come in here and break any records because there's nobody to open holes for him. So you can't take a running back in that spot. he's going to be a top 10 pick for sure. I keep seeing him slip into the Cowboys a little bit. So
I have been praying to God, like someone finds like maybe he tweaked an ankle in middle school and now he comes to the Cowboys.
Again, you know what? The league has not fallen
right now. He's going to fall to number 6. He's going to the Raiders. They got their quarterback in Geno Smith.
Yeah,
and they're probably going to look for another Marshawn Lynch.
And think about it. The way running backs have been drafted the last few years, 6 is very high for him to go. I thought he might fall to the Cowboys because I didn't think he'd go in the top 10. But the Raiders are lacking that one piece, at least on offense, it looks like. So
I think Genty's name, because of the 2,000 plus yards, he seems like he's the only running back available. There are plenty of running backs in this draft. Why is everybody sleeping on Omari and Hampton out of North Carolina? That guy is going to go in the first round. As a matter of fact, I think he's a more complete back than Genty. I think he is.
Don't be shocked if he doesn't get picked in the first round, though. They just don't pick these guys in the first round. I agree with your analysis, but we just don't do that. It happened in free agency. One guy got paid. The only guy got paid. Barkley's big contract notwithstanding, Najee Harris gets like a 1-year deal for like $5 million. That's it. The league has not changed their opinion on running backs despite the Barkley contract. They just have not. They think they're interchangeable.
Did he not get $9 million, 9.5?
I thought he got like 5. I thought he got a 1-year contract for like 5. Well, maybe guaranteed $5.5 million.
Probably.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Najee's contract is 5.2.
Thank you. 5.2. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's wild.
They did extend Barkley before the season started. He's now I think he's getting like another 42 million, 36 guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken.
But it doesn't have any legs. There's no it's not going to carry on to other players. It's very obvious to me by the Harris deal, and I think you'll see it in the draft. Other than the only guy who's going to get any respect probably is Jonathan. The kid from North Carolina is probably going to go in the second round. I would not be shocked.
Well, especially when you think of guys like Kenneth Walker.
So we don't have to pay him.
When you think of Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet were both second rounders. I mean, in years past, they would have been first round picks, and Seattle grabbed both those guys in the second round.
A lot of guys.
Jonathan Taylor, believe it or not, was the second rounder. Jonathan Taylor was the second rounder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, second round pick. They don't want to.
Bijan was number 1. He was in the first round.
Was he? Well, late. I'm guessing. I could be wrong, but they don't want to pay them first round money.
And even along with that, like you got Aaron Jones, who's been a starter in the NFL almost since basically day one, and he was a 5th round pick. So I mean, you can find value at the running back position anywhere. You don't need to pay these guys any amount of money. The only reason why Philadelphia pays Saquon is because you have no way to justify not paying him after an MVP caliber season where he leads your team to the Super Bowl.
The Giants figured out a way not to do it. But
Oh,
sorry, Mac. I said it again.
I like the Max just catching strays over there.
He's like, I'm just having a good old time, enjoying the conversation with the Giants.
Just collateral damage at this point.
He's like, I wasn't even involved in this.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say anything, Mac. I didn't say anything.
Thank you. Thank you.
I couldn't help.
You're my buddy, James. You're my buddy.
I picked your team to go to the playoffs last year, and I've taken nothing but heat for it.
Well,
that's drinking more than me if you pick that.
I was going to say that's your fault.
Right after that, it was
I did no such thing. I don't know what you were thinking.
That would be wild.
You got to find a flyer somewhere.
If Mason Rudolph or like any of those caliber guys end up there, you are going to have the most angry receiving core ever. Right? Like DK is going to be losing his mind. Pickens will absolutely be losing his mind. It'll be the most penalized team ever because they're going to be beating people up in between plays just because they're mad that they can never get the ball.
There's a quarterback out there that we saw cannot complete a 4-yard pass. that is a free agent right now. We all saw him in Dallas. Trey Lance needs to be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, bring me all the chaos possible to the city of Pittsburgh. It's going to blow up like Dark Knight Rises, and I am here for it 100%, guys.
Well, see, the problem with taking Lance there is the offensive line will get killed, though, right? So he'd be hurt after one game. So then it would still be off to Mason Rudolph or somebody because Trey Lance would be on IR.
Cooper Rush. We got to give it back to Cooper Rush.
Rush might be interesting there. He can at least throw the ball.
I mean, there's going to be some dysfunction there. You got two of the biggest diva receivers there right now in DK Metcalf and George Pickens. So I'm interested to see who's going to be the quarterback there. If Aaron Rodgers is there, wow, that's going to be a lot.
I'm not so sure Pickens may not be off this team come next opening day.
That's what I'm wondering too.
Well, when you think of DK and Pickens, it makes me think of Tio and Ocho playing together. Like on paper, you're like, okay, like this could be cool. And then the season started and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't really work very good.
Yeah, I kept that comment up there because I did read that Mason Rudolph is talking with the Steelers. Mason does know the Steelers' offensive scheme. He played under Tomlin for a long time. Now, I don't know how it'll affect the receivers, but it definitely will bring some kind of calmness to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, an 8-8 season, or 9-8, or can't be 8-8 anymore, right? But how about 8-8-1?
8-8-1. There you go. I mean, also there's talk of Jameis Winston being in that conversation as well. So,
is it really?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I like Jameis. I think Jameis would be a pretty good fit.
Because Cleveland's got their new star in Kenny Pickett, so they're good.
Yeah. So what's weird about that is Russell Wilson is flying to Cleveland today.
Is he?
He is. Wow. So he's going to Cleveland, and then he's going to the Giants. So that's that. Just up there shaking your head. Yeah, I mean, so Russ is going to make the rounds because they haven't pulled the trigger. It would be interesting if Rodgers comes back and says, "Oh, I'm retiring. Wilson's already gone, and now you're stuck with Winston or Mason, and you have really angry receivers." That sounds hilarious.
I think Jameis Winston would be like, he would make those receivers happy, right? Like, obviously, he's going to throw 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 47 interceptions. 47. But like, it'll be fun. There'll be a fun team to watch. He gets to play in snow again, so he'll be a happy guy. I want Jameis Winston there.
Man, so that you don't take any more strays, what quarterback would you like to select for the Giants? I mean, via free agency or draft.
That's right. You're on the clock.
Or both.
You can also go into the past and get them at their prime just to make you feel better too.
Okay.
Norm Snead. I see Norm Snead coming.
No.
That is amazing.
Cam Ward, of course, would be my number one choice. I would take Shedeur Stevenson if I had to. I don't know how Dion would work out in New York. But if worse comes to worse, what's wrong with Travis Hunter?
Yeah.
If you were to get Travis Hunter, would you use him as a corner or as a receiver?
Both.
Or both.
Both.
A corner.
You're not going to do
a
both.
corner.
I
Not like
agree with
in college.
His career will be extraordinarily short if you try and use him both ways. Like, he'll get hurt.
The average career in the NFL is 3.5 years anyway.
Yeah,
I know, but if you're taking 150 snaps a game, like, that's just not going to work out very good.
No, that won't happen. It won't happen. But you can spot him on offense and in the right spots, and you can play him. And Dion did it. A lot of guys have done it.
And that's exactly what I would like. If I was the GM, I would get him as a corner, and then
Absolutely.
I'd have packages for him on offense.
100%. Yes. Yep. That's what I say. Both. I don't mean 150 plays a game.
Listen, Dion's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best one-on-one coverage guys in the history of football. He's a little bit bigger than Hunter. And listen, I would put Hunter as a defensive back, and maybe down the line I try him at wide receiver.
And Hunter will make more tackles in his first year than Deion made in his whole career, probably.
No question. I think he's already made more tackles.
I think you just treat him the same way you treated Deion, right? You play him on defense. That's going to be his bread and butter. You get the packages on offense.
Yeah.
Put him in as a punt returner every now and then too, because you have a dynamic guy like that is shifty, that can do a whole bunch of moves. The more he gets the ball, the more chances he has at the ball, the better it is for your team, especially if your team is drafting that high. It's because they're bad and they don't have a ton of talent. He fills up multiple positions.
Yeah. Yep. And he'll make guys better on offense because teams are going to key on him and open up somebody else, even if you're not getting him the ball, right? So
he can make Daniel Jones look good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
J-Train rolled his eyes so hard at that one.
He dislocated one of them.
Mac's still taking the strays. Mac's still taking the strays, man. I got to stand up for my guy. Okay.
The thing that's funny is a guy that I'd like to see them go get in this free agency period for the Giants, it would actually make a lot of sense, is to go get a guy like Taysom Hill. Because he's such a utility guy.
Trade him, I think we're probably going to renegotiate his contract because it looks like the Saints are going to keep him.
Oh, are they? Because they had been talking about like getting him out of there, and the Giants could really use a utility guy like that because of the amount of holes, right? And he does so many things well. Like it legitimately could be a good spot.
Imagine what they would be able to do if they were to get Travis Hunter and Taysom Hill on the field at the same time. Right, like that would be such a dynamic, confusing look for offenses that like your whole offense obviously would be gimmicky, but the Giants aren't going to be winning the division this year. So why not just cause chaos and ruin other teams' chances?
Right. Well, and it's not like Neighbors isn't still there. So, I mean, like you also have that aspect. And then whoever you get at quarterback, like that could just be a very interesting – that would be an interesting offense to watch. Like,
why am I sitting here thinking about the Giants being better? I don't want this.
About time.
I'm thinking about picking them for the playoffs again this year.
Their defense, the Giants defense, the Giants in the free agency has loaded up, and so they look a little bit better on paper. So you got to give them credit there. I think offensively, they're probably going to have to make some moves in the draft for them, but I think that they'll be okay.
How many picks do you have, Mac? Do you know?
Shoot.
Like we ended up with, I think we're sitting at 13 now because of compensatory picks and some of the trades. But how many do you guys have? Like,
we have a 5th round pick.
Right.
We have a compensatory,
Right.
and a 5th and a compensatory. So we've got, I don't know, there's quite a few. I had it earlier.
We got a whole bunch.
I'll check it.
That's a good round number. I like it.
So this is just real quick. I count 8.
I got it. That's what I see is 8. Yeah.
Oh, 8. Okay, so that's not
with the extra pick in the 3rd round.
Oh, okay, so I mean nothing really out of the ordinary then. Okay.
They should have used the most of that on offense.
The Cowboys have 4 5th-round picks.
Yay!
How many 5th-round picks?
4.
Yeah, the Saints last year had 4. We got one of them was actually a decent pick. That was Spencer Rattler. So
all of them will be released by the time training camp starts.
Well, that depends on if you actually take them. When you have 4 5th-rounders, that's where you package them together to trade up and go get something.
We're going to get Daniel Jones, baby.
Let's go.
0-17. Here we come. I'm telling you, 0-17. I don't want to hear any of this stuff as the season goes on. Oh, Tip thought they were going to be good. No, I didn't. 0-17. That's where I need them to be. That's where I want them to be. If you're going to be bad, you want to be historically bad.
Well, what are you going to do with that 12th pick? What are you going to do with that 12th overall pick?
Trade it for a 7th round pick. They're the Dallas Cowboys. They'll find some way to mess it up.
No, what are you talking about? You guys are actually pretty decent at
At
drafting.
the draft. Yeah, it's free agency that we are absolutely
It's
garbage.
actually playing football that is the problem.
At least in
That's
December
true,
or
too.
later.
At least right, December, January, right?
We don't talk about those months. We got Christmas, New Year's. There's a lot of hangovers. Like we
Right,
don't.
like-
Come on.
That's Cabo time. Like there's we don't need to be doing football.
I suggest we start the season earlier and we end it around Thanksgiving. And that fits the Dallas Cowboys perfectly.
Right.
A hell of a home field advantage playing in Dallas in the summertime.
Super Bowl on Thanksgiving in Dallas every year.
Yes, I am. Keith, you're my guy. We got this.
I'm with you.
Kenneth
Oh
Murray.
my God.
Thank you, Tommy, for letting me know about
So there you go.
As he makes himself another drink.
So NBA, let's get some NBA in here. NBA Cleveland pursuing NBA history as they extend the winning streak to 15. This would be the second time. The Stars just get they have a lot of things that have to go right for this to come together and them to go to the championship and maybe get over the top and beat Boston.
Maybe. It's interesting. You have 55 wins and 30 of them are in a group of 15. They've had a couple of great stretches but Cleveland's had really good regular seasons before and without LeBron and not won and not really gone deep into the playoffs. So to me, you still got to win in the postseason, and the Celtics are a big roadblock in their way. Maybe the only roadblock in the East with the Knicks problems, but I still think the Knicks will make themselves heard in the postseason, and the Celtics certainly will as well. This isn't going to be an easy walk to the finals for the Cavs, and if they get there, the West is really tough. There's a bunch of teams. There's 6 teams out west that could win this whole thing.
And I think that's what the issue is, right? Like Cleveland could be the best team in the East. And I think they're going through the classic growing pains, right? Like we make the playoffs, we lose games that we shouldn't lose the way that they did to the Knicks, right? Boston's going to be the team, like the next hurdle that they've got to jump over. Then it's going to be the mountainous teams in the West, right? Like I didn't think that LeBron and Luka were going to work the way they do. They're working, man. Like you can't deny that at all. But Oklahoma City, we got to give them their flowers where they deserve them. That's the best team in the NBA right now. And I don't care if it's Boston, if it's Cleveland, who it is. I don't see a team beating Oklahoma City, the former Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah, as a Sonics fan, I hope they flame out hard.
And listen, don't count out the Warriors in the West either. The Warriors have played great basketball. I don't know the way Jimmy Butler got himself there, but he's been a great fit on his team as I thought he would be. And they played really good basketball for the last month or so.
Oh yeah.
I think they're just going to have problems with big teams with bigs is where they're going.
Big teams, yeah.
Well, I like how they've been playing Evan Mobley. I like if Jared Allen's healthy, and I think that was the issue whenever they played the Knicks, right? Jared Allen wasn't healthy. Mitchell Robinson had his way with him, which you don't really expect to see, right? If they can stay healthy, I like what they've done, expanding the role of Evan Mobley. And I feel like their offense is fun to watch. They've gone through all the growing pains. Like, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland wins the East. I'd be very surprised if they win because I feel like the Western Conference is just far. We didn't even talk about Denver. That shows how deep the Western Conference is.
Yeah.
Hey, you know who you don't have to talk about at all, though, is Dallas.
I'm good with that. I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan.
Wow.
Well, we don't need to talk about them either, though.
I mean, blood clots.
Poor Wemby.
It hurts.
I mean, the injuries.
Is Pop back? Speaking of that, not to steal the questions, but is Pop coming back? I don't think he will. Myself,
I think it's time to ride off into the sunset. I think he's just going to finish this year out, and Pop is such a classy guy that he doesn't want to steal the thunder away from anybody. Make the storyline about him. He's going to wait for the story. He's going to wait for the season to end. Then it comes out. He's got to retire. I don't see him coming back and dealing with all the stress that head coaching does.
He's like, what is he? 70? What? He's not a young guy.
He's got to be at least 160.
Right?
I was going to say 77. I feel like I might be too old, but
Wow. I feel like Sonia just comes after every team that I love. Like she's like I hate Ford Mustangs.
How about UTEP? Maybe she got anything about UTEP?
I mean, they make fun of themselves. We don't need to worry about it.
They won. They won last night.
They won last night. As a matter of fact, they're playing right now. So I'm going to have that on the TV here in just a little bit.
We're going to watch the University. I was looking for a game. All I got LaSalle and pretty bad matchup here in the A10. I got LaSalle and somebody playing.
Well, I mean, you don't want to watch Conference USA basketball. I'll just give you that right now. So, I mean, if you want to be bored out of your mind, then yeah, go ahead and tune in, catch UTEP right now as they're getting ready to more than likely lose, because that's what they do. They break my heart because everything I love breaks my heart.
She hit enter a little bit too soon. I was supposed to say sorry, not sorry.
Like, I'm sorry that you support these terrible teams.
Oh man. So I mean, Oklahoma City, they're number one right now, right? If I got it right.
Well, Cleveland went ahead of past win-wise.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
OKC, their issue is they're young, right? So they're gonna get in their own way in spots, similar to how they lost last year, right? Like they were a great team last year. They just lacked the experience. That'll probably get them one more time.
My guy Chris Babcock saying everyone's sleeping on the Boston Celtics. That's good for Celtics fans. I agree, right? Like the Celtics, again, quietly last year, they're the defending champion. And I feel like the more you underestimate them, the less pressure they have, the better it is for them. Like now they can exceed the bar. If they beat Cleveland in the championship game to get to the NBA Finals, that's going to be all the momentum they need. And I do feel like we kind of are disrespecting them as the defending champion.
Absolutely. I mean, the Lakers came there this weekend and they just came to a screeching halt on that win streak, and it was because of Boston's stifling defense. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Lakers had pretty decent defense themselves, but man, Boston looks just good. I mean, you still got an old man, but still young in the center. What's the guy's name? I can't even think of it for Boston.
Al Horford.
Yes, thank you. He still can shoot from three. He blocks and he plays. And Al is not a big center at all. He's at best 6'9", 6'10", if that. 6'9"
Yeah, just a little guy.
Yes, exactly right, as a center. But man, Boston is just really—they're the champs. And then until you beat the man, you can't be the man. And then right now, to me, they're still the man that you gotta come through them. I don't care if it's Cleveland, if it's Milwaukee, the Knicks, whomever in the East, man, they got to run through Boston.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Do they win the NBA championship with all that talent in the West, though?
I think they can.
I mean,
it's 7 games for a reason.
Yeah,
there's 7 games.
Like I don't think anyone would have thought that they would have won the championship last year, and they dominated. Like it was. Yeah, I feel like they're getting looked over, and that's good for them because they have zero pressure. How many times do you have a defending champion that has zero pressure on them because the storyline is about every other team out there?
It's crazy that they're barely in the conversation. I think that's the part that's really wild about it is they didn't really lose any talent, and they're being talked about as like maybe the 8th option to win. And you're just like, that doesn't seem right.
I'll pick right now today Celtics in Denver in a rematch from a couple years ago.
Okay.
I like both those teams. I like the way Denver's playing a lot right now. Really do.
They have a big loaf of bread that plays basketball really well at center. So, I mean,
he's amazing.
How is someone that out of shape the greatest basketball player we've ever seen?
Him and Luka both. The two of the best players in the league are the most. They look like me out there for kind of
basketball jar of mayonnaise. That's what we're watching.
Pretty much.
All right, guys. Okay, it's the end of the hour. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments, all the views. We'll see you again next week on the National Professional Streaming Sports Show. Have a good one, folks.